Hello and welcome to PodCaster, episode number 3. I am one of your hosts, Pete Quinnell. Hello. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Liam.
I am also one of your hosts,
Liam. That is true. I was going to say, I'm your host. I'm your host. Well, I'm not the only one, so yeah. I'm one of your hosts,
no,
I guess.
It's fine. You are the host, I'm the co-host. It's fine.
Vice host.
Yeah,
that's what you are.
You're the champion, I'm the co-champion. I know how it stands. Fine.
Apologies for no episode last week. Things got a bit busy with other stuff. But yeah, we're back for this week for episode number 3, which should be a good one, hopefully. So to kick things off, Liam, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I have missed D&D. We haven't played this week.
No, not this weekend, unfortunately.
And it's a bit of it does get to the weekends, and like, if there's no D&D, I'm like, oh, I now have 4 more hours of my day. I don't want 4 more hours of my day. It's 4 more hours trying to figure out what to do when I'm not shooting arrows or
yeah, exactly,
giving you guys werewolves to fight.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about that, because we have had a session in your campaign, which we played last weekend.
Yes, that was the most recent D&D session we had. So it was for my campaign, in which the party was just on their way to the most southern city, which is governed by Hades. On the way, they ran into a farm that was torn to sunders. It's like livestock was slaughtered, buildings was like crushed, destroyed, and there was evidence of like tracks and animal, like bestial attacks as well. They found a farmer. The farmer said his daughter had been kidnapped by this band of thieves, taken away, and then the party volunteered to go get her, essentially. What was a very funny encounter happened in the woods, in which you guys found 3 characters that were standing in the woods, like dead of night, with torches, talking, stealthed up, done usual scouting thing. They heard you on your way back. They started scouting around. The party spread out, and then all hell broke loose when your character shot one of them with your poison bolt, instantly knocking them unconscious because they failed their constitution check. Another character set a tree on fire so that the third character, who doesn't have dark vision, could see. And the fourth character turned into a panther and climbed a tree and hid. Now, you guys had...
What about that?
Now, in my mind, this encounter was 3 humanoids that were werewolves, but they're in their humanoid form. You guys didn't know that.
No.
And
no, we didn't.
You guys promptly began to attack them in brutal ways, such as dropping a tree on them. A panther mauling them. Chopping their arm off and killing the one who was trapped under the tree.
It was
and then awaking the one who you knocked unconscious. And proceeded to ask him for help.
I mean,
after you killed his 2 mates.
Yeah, we kind of did. I mean, we tried to be more... So, how it went down was, I shot the person initially with my poison bolt and knocked him unconscious. After we quickly realised that we were killing these people very, very quickly, we were like, uh-oh, what if they're innocent and we've stumbled onto something that we shouldn't be killing them? My character then took it upon themselves to try and make everyone else stop killing everybody. I was like, guys, can we please stop? I stopped attacking. Like, I was calling out to all my friends, using all my actions and stuff at all my turns just to call out to the rest of the party and just be like, guys, can we not? Can we not kill him, please?
You guys really didn't want to. These guys started to move away, and the party was like, I get in front of him. All right, well, he's just going to go around you. Do you use your reaction to attack? And they're like, no. It's like, you guys really didn't want to. And you was perfectly within your right to kill them, because it was a werewolf encounter, and in my mind, it was going to be, they start attacking you, and then 2 of them turn into werewolves, and the third runs off. And werewolves aren't that strong of creatures, so you guys were easily enough to take them out. But since none of them transformed, because you guys managed to handle them so quickly and incapacitate them so quickly, when you guys started going, oh man, this is really easy, I was just like, oh, they really don't know. I'm just going to play it off. So I just started playing it like, yeah, you guys absolutely batter that man
Yep.
who has done nothing wrong.
And you were like, oh yeah, they're just farmers.
Yeah, I was like, they're just farmers. I was like, you guys are just beating up these people who have done nothing wrong apart from investigate a noise they heard in the woods.
And then, yeah, we carried on afterwards. I convinced them to not kill the guy that I'd knocked unconscious initially.
It's really funny.
And then, yeah, we woke him up and I was like, hey, so, funny story.
Funny story.
We killed the other two that were here.
Funny story. Found your mates. Killed your mates.
Yeah.
Can you help us?
Can you help point us in the right direction, please?
Very funny.
And he was not having it. And eventually he agreed to go with us. He'd take us in the right direction, but he insisted on us being in front of him and he'd lead from the back because he didn't trust us, which, in my character's view, was totally fine because he wouldn't trust us. We just killed his mates. Privately, I was thinking, this dude's shady.
Yeah,
but I was
absolutely.
like, my character's like, no, he's kind of innocent, he wouldn't know.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, he guided us to the right place, but then he did eventually turn into a werewolf.
He did.
And tried to start mauling some of us.
He turned into a werewolf. He attacked one of you. You passed your constitution check.
Yeah.
He was promptly battered in like one round because he was already not at full health anyway.
Yeah.
And then you guys found your way into the den.
Mm-hmm.
Attacked by wargs, which was also a quite funny encounter.
That was great.
It's quite funny because the barbarian ran in and got mauled.
Yeah.
Because the barbarian got dragged to the floor and then got hit with a nat 20, and then everything had advantage because they were on the floor. And it was just like, I was just like, yeah, you guys see 4 wargs surround your lizard folk barbarian. And it's just like feeding time. And your lizard folk barbarian is like throwing arms up, trying to grab anything to pull out or get on help. And you guys are just seeing these wargs like tear into him.
Yeah, because I ran in originally as a rogue wizard. Is my character. I ran in and I was at the front, saw all these wargs and went, oh god, burning hands, I'm gonna run.
Yeah, you ran the other way.
And I ran the other way, so I was nowhere near. And then literally next person to go in was this barbarian who got absolutely mauled by all these wargs. It was quite the fun.
Yeah, because they're all in the same initiative order. So you had your turn. The barbarian had his turn, her real life turn.
Yep.
Went in quite deep into the cave.
Yes.
And then they all just went, get him!
Go!
They all turned around and just went after him. So you guys are all far away.
Yeah, it was great.
It was very funny. And now you guys are in the middle of a den.
Yes.
Having already done 2 fights.
Yep.
And you have to find this farmer's daughter. And you don't know how deep the cave goes, but you have seen wargs and werewolves.
Yes. Very wolf-like. Did you get inspiration from Wolfenstein?
No, I didn't, because that's a game about Nazis.
Yeah, I know, but it's pun on wolf. Come on, man. Give me that.
So yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Yes. Thoroughly looking forward to next session for that.
It'll be a particularly fun one because you guys are going into what is essentially like a mini dungeon.
Yeah.
Having already gone through 2 fights.
Yes.
And like at the end of the last session, you guys are like, oh, we should rest. And I'm like, that'll be interesting.
You can try.
Yeah, I was like, that'll be interesting because your group doesn't have any sort of Liam's tiny hut or anything like that.
Nope.
So that'll be fun.
I will eventually, if I keep taking levels in Wizard.
You will
I can
eventually.
get there eventually, but currently I'm a level 1 Wizard and a level 6 Rogue.
It's a ways off.
Yeah.
It's a ways off.
Got a while yet. But yeah, it was very, very fun. I thoroughly enjoyed all the different fights, and we were cracking up because as much as my character was acting like annoyed at everyone trying to kill everyone, I was dying of laughter from the way that everyone was just like, I don't want to kill these guys, but I'm swinging with my great axe every time.
I think the part that sold it was when the one guy was trapped under the tree, and like he tried to lift it off and couldn't, and I was like, and like just before his turn ends, he like reaches a hand up and goes, "Help someone!" I was just, and in my mind, that was him calling his friends for help.
Yeah.
You guys interpreted as his plea for
plea for
mercy.
anyone to help.
His plea for mercy, being like, "Please don't kill me." And so we just rolled with it. It was a really funny fight that wasn't planned to be funny in any way. And you guys are completely within your right to attack them. Yeah. It was just funny to play it as you guys were just horrible people.
You just guilt tripped us for no reason, essentially.
It was really funny. I mean, it's healthy sometimes.
Yeah.
It's healthy sometimes for you guys to be like, you don't always have to attack everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that was my character's thing.
Yeah.
Coming out at the end of that, my character's now got like, hey guys, maybe we shouldn't attack everything we see initially.
The bottom line is, you guys were in your complete right to attack them, but you didn't know it at the time.
But we didn't know.
At the time, you definitely just attacked 3 people who were investigating a noise in the forest.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
they were having a talk, they heard a noise, they started to investigate, and you attacked them.
Yes. So, and I mean, it didn't get us in trouble this time, but that could get us in some serious trouble in the future. If that's what we do.
Yeah,
So my character's now making it kind of his mission to be like, guys, let's look and investigate first. Let's figure out who these people are and what they're doing before we actually engage in stuff.
Correct result, wrong intentions.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing. I've not been in too much else D&D related. Been trying to make a few more maps. Been trying to just make. Started planning more of my second campaign, which I don't know why I'm still running my first one. Just I'm getting way too ahead of myself, but
Thinking ahead.
Thinking ahead. But
Way ahead.
yeah, really, really far ahead. But let's get into some discussion points. Do you want to grab one of my dice actually? See who goes first.
Sure.
We can roll for it. So yeah, we'll get into our normal discussion points here. For those who are new to the podcast, we do 2 of these. One of us, we each bring a discussion point to the table each week, and then we chat about it. So we'll just roll 1 each and see who goes first.
15.
15, that's massive.
I think I've won 2 in a row so far.
15!
We gotta go again.
Man, go again.
I thought I was going to win it on that 15. 19!
19! God. 3.
3 in a row for me.
Yep, alright then. Off you go.
Uh,
Bring your discussion point.
Okay, my discussion point. The discussion points we've had so far, we've been able to pull on our experience as DMs.
Okay.
This one is very much opinion based because it's not something that either one of us have done, but it's stuff that we have spoke about before, and it's one that I've been thinking about recently as doing as like if there's a time where one of our players can't come to the session, just being like, okay, we can do this because I have this ready. Your opinion on playing evil characters.
Okay.
And how you can make it work. So essentially a character who is not, and I'm not talking necessarily their alignment is just chaotic evil. I'm talking about players whose intentions and players whose actions and goals may not be simply the classic D&D, we have to save the world. Their intentions and goals may be something that any other time or any other time of place, you'd be like, that's not good.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to do a good thing. They may do good things along the way, but they are not trying to do a good thing. Their goal is evil.
That's really interesting. Because running an evil campaign, I think, is something that I've been looking into at some point anyway, just to try and, even if it's just like a one-shot or a few sessions.
That's what I was thinking.
Of doing, you're all evil characters.
Yeah.
And we'll run an evil campaign. You guys can just be the biggest a-holes you want to be.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking in terms of like a one shot, maybe 2, depending on how long the sessions go, because our sessions tend to get a bit RP heavy and we tend to not go as far into the story.
Very much so.
But like a one-shot campaign, you guys can play all your evil races. Like, you can be your bugbears, you can be your goblins, again, even though none of them are necessarily evil. Although I'd say bugbears would get a bad rap.
Yeah.
But I'd say if anyone wanted to play a bugbear, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Although there may be a few things I change, because I think having bugbears with 10-foot reach is dumb. But
correct.
Anyway. But, like, you can be a bugbear, you can be an orc, you can be a goblin, you can be...
a drow.
Yeah, a drow, you can be a kobold. And
yeah.
All that stuff, and be an evil campaign. It'd be something like, you guys have to go into the city, and you guys have to take out the mayor. Like, your final goal is to kill the mayor.
Have fun.
How are you going to do it? And it'd be, in my mind's eye, things like, all right, well, we go into the bar, and we... like, try and find some shady people, and, like, we cut some deals, and, right, well, we're going to need equipment. All right, well, we go to the store. Let's just steal everything. Let's just steal stuff. We don't have to buy anything.
Yeah.
And stuff like, all right, well, the mayor has guards. Let's poison them at some point. Let's track them and find where they eat and poison their food.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it could be really, really interesting to run, as an experience, to run evil stuff, because it is such a subversion of what... inherently a lot of us are programmed to be like when we play D&D, because a lot of us, I'm definitely including myself in this, kind of very much skew towards the good side of things and very much want to be the heroes of the story. I think it'll be really fun, like you said, for a one-shot or a two-shot or even a short campaign to be evil characters. I disagree with having evil characters in a good campaign.
Okay.
I don't agree with that, personally.
Sell your point to me.
Because I think it leads to unnecessary party tension. I think you can have shades of grey characters, people that have done bad things in their past and are looking to reform and trying to get back on the right path and stuff like that.
Sure.
Character development, that's fine. Someone who's actively evil, just being part of and like pretending and hoodwinking the rest of the party, I don't like that. I think it just leads to... It can lead to player tension rather than character tension, and I think it adds so much extra work for the DM, which I'm not a huge fan of, because the DMs do so much anyway.
Too much already.
Yeah. Or it's like, like one of our close friends who we play with is, I know he's made a character where he's essentially made 2 character sheets, and he's been like, I'd pretend to be this character, but really I'm this character, and they've got all this crossover with stuff like that. I wouldn't allow that in my campaign, personally.
It's already muddled.
Yeah, it's already really muddled. It can lead to some really... It's forced tension rather than like storytelling tension. It's just like... I can't really find the right way to describe it, but it's... the tension between evil and good shouldn't be within the party, because the party needs to be cohesive. That's kind of the point of the party.
Yeah.
The DM is the foil to the party. The party isn't the foil to the party. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's a good way of putting it.
That's the way it is in my head, and I know that can seem just like, well, the DM's all important and none of you can have any of the things that the DM has. That's not what I'm trying to get at. It's just that the party dynamic would be inherently flawed if one of the characters was evil, and like keeping secrets from the rest of the party. Like at some point, are you going to have to ask all your players just to leave so you can have one-on-one time with your evil character and have little side quests with them, kind of thing? Like it just gets really complicated, and I think the payoff to it is not worth the extra stress and hassle of having the evil character.
I agree. In some sense.
Okay.
I agree in some sense, in which, like, there's a lot of things you say there where it's like, it's making the party difficult, it's like, they're doing evil things, it's counterproductive to the party. I agree. I feel like that takes it to the extreme. I feel like you can have a character who maybe has an evil goal in mind, and who maybe not necessarily is good, but works with the party with the intention of, my final goal is to do this. It doesn't involve you guys. So, situation in my head, because it's easier to build it off a situation. You have a character who is a hitman.
Okay.
And he has to take out a target. And he's been a hitman his whole life, and he's still a hitman. So, he's still not a good guy.
Yep.
He needs to get stronger for this. He needs to gain equipment for this. So he goes along with the party. But his ultimate goal is to kill someone that the party would not kill.
Okay.
He doesn't want them involved in it. He doesn't say to them, I need help with this. Just like, I'm rocking with you guys. I'm going to do this with you guys. You guys are cool, like, ends up friends with them. I just need to get stronger, I need to get items, I'm going to help you guys with this, but just know that I have a contract that I have to fill out.
Yeah. It's so hard, because that to me, it's really...
You can end it in a way, if you want to play that character, you can end it in a way as, like, he decides he doesn't want to be a hitman anymore.
Right.
But playing the character, they're not a good guy. And they would have, like, all of these, not good guy contacts. And whilst you may not necessarily take his suggestions to capture someone and torture them for information, that is what their suggestion may be.
It's so hard, because if let's say for my next campaign, you came to me and said, I want to play this character, they're a hitman, they are not good, they've got a target they want to kill at some point, and we'll see what happens with the party interactions, whether they want to actually do it or not in the end. Then I'd be like, okay, there's a chance that maybe they'll kind of go back on the straight and narrow. They're starting character development. They might, learn they might see the light and, become more of a good character.
Yeah.
Then I'd be more on board with it. If it was just, I have a character, I'm going to go do this at the end, then I think that after they kill their target, or fail to kill their target, whatever, are they just out of the campaign? Because it's like, well, the party would probably turn on them, or they'd get arrested if they failed, or like, is that just them done? Like, what's the what's next after that.
Yeah.
I always want to have, as much as possible, I want to have the possibility that the starting party is the ending party.
Correct.
Obviously, people can die along the way and new characters, stuff like that, but I want the possibility that the starting party will be the ending party if people don't die. I don't want it to be like, well, I have a short story as part of this, and then later on I'll have a new character. Mm-hmm. Like I'll have this short story from levels 1 to 5, and then I'll play someone else. Like, no, I want it to be the possibility of a full party. So I don't know how that would work personally in terms of where the character would go beyond, well, I've got this target. Would they then get a new target? Would they get hired? Would the party turn on them? And then it would just lead to, well, we're going to have a fight. Let's all roll initiative and see if we can kill this one PC. Like that. Yeah. That to me is not something I ever want to have at my games.
My assumption for that would be it'd be an end game kind of thing.
Right.
Like it'd be an end game target, not like a thing of like it comes up in the middle of the campaign and then they do it and then they bugger off, or the party has to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
It'd be an end campaign kind of thing. So like a maybe part of a like, where are they now kind of thing. Like at the end of the campaign where it's like, all right, well after we've done all of our thing, I go off and do this, and I go off and do this, and then it's a thing like, and Liam goes off and finally completes his contract, or he gets there and he gets like within knife's edge of his contract and remembers the good times he had with his friends and the power of friendship, and now suddenly decides he wants to be good and goes to work in the bakery.
The bakery of all places.
Yeah.
I could see that. I feel like that's a little bit, maybe a bit limited.
I think evil evil is wrong.
Yes.
Chaotic is fine.
Totally. I'm on board with that.
Evil is wrong, chaotic is fine. I think you can be chaotic without being evil.
Absolutely, yes.
So
and I agree with I think that's what it really boils down to, I think, for me, because you need to have some sort of redeemable quality, I think, to fit in with the party. If you're just a dick constantly, that's going to wear thin really fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not. Yeah, if it was ever a case of like, man, Jerry just keeps starting all these fires. I would be totally against that.
Hey, look, we got to escort this person's daughter back home. Stab.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly,
something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, oh man, we got some really good stuff out of that shop. Yeah, and I got this new head. Like, if you start and then like, oh Jerry.
Jerry.
I wouldn't be expecting that kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm thinking more along the lines of someone who suggests they do less than good motives to possibly get good results.
Yeah, I can get more on board with that, because to me that's more shades of grey. That's like the methods they use aren't necessarily great, but they still may have good intentions, or they may have a motive that is somewhat understandable at the very least. Like I said, it's some sort of redeemable quality rather than just, I'm a dick, that's my character.
My one point from this as well, and the reason I picked this up is because I think it's mentioned in the Player's Handbook or Xanathar's, one of them, and it's to do with the Warlock subclass.
Okay.
And one of the suggestions for the Warlock subclass background is your patron will occasionally whisper to you and tell you tasks they want you to do.
Yes. Which
can be very easily interpreted as, this fiend that gave me my power wants me to do fiend shit. So there's probably going to be bad. You know, he's probably not going to be telling me, hey, need you to give me 50 gold, mate. Need you to lend me 50 gold. Or it's not going to be anything like, your mission today is to kill 3 wolves. No, it's probably going to be stuff like, there's a holy clergyman in town. Kind of need him gone.
Yeah,
because he goes against the fiendish ways.
And to me, that's a really interesting character, because the character themselves may not inherently be evil, but now they need to think about, oh god, do I need these powers? Do I want to follow what my patrons say? I don't know. And for me, that's a really compelling story. That's really cool character interactions with the patron, which might result in some less than ideal actions. Sure. But that's not the player just being a dick.
Right.
That's the player having to think about whether they want to be a dick or not. And to me, that's the difference between having a character that I would allow in my game and wouldn't.
Sure, not Jerry the Arsonist.
Not Jerry the Arsonist, no.
We're starting them fights.
Jerry! Another one?
Would have really liked to go back to that store that's on fire at some point.
I think that an all evil campaign is good. I'd like that experience. An evil character in a good party is not ideal. Shades of Grey is amazing because it leads to really good storytelling.
It's also very player dependent.
Yes, that's totally.
It's also very. Let's not beat around that bush. It's very player dependent.
Usual disclaimer for pretty much every talking point. We can boil it down to, well, it depends what table you're at and who you're playing with. Because that goes for basically anything in all of D&D. But yes, that's very totally true.
Very player dependent. I have players that I would trust with that, and I have players that I wouldn't trust with that.
Agreed. Yeah. Yes, 100%.
I have players that would take that to the extreme, and I have players that would probably do that fine.
Yes.
We have players that play good characters and are already pretty evil.
And we have people who definitely are chaotic already.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're already trying to be good and it's pretty chaotic. Lord knows what would happen if you said, and now you're evil.
Oh, God, don't. Oh, man. That would genuinely be hilarious. I kind of really want to run an evil campaign now because that would genuinely be really funny.
I'm planning it.
Yeah.
I've got an idea in mind for if one of our sessions someone says I can't make it, because we do have a couple of people across both our sessions who join in with Discord. So sometimes there are times where it's like, I can't make it.
Yeah.
Because, you got friends nearby. It's easy to just book out a day to be like, we're all going to sit round, play D&D, have some fun, have some drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's something that I'm thinking up as being like a thing of, hey, you 3 people are here. Why don't we do this evil campaign? You guys are evil and you have to kill the mayor.
That sounds pretty fun. Yeah, no, I'm totally on board with that. I think that's really interesting. I'm curious to see what other people think of that, because I get the feeling this is probably going to be the most divisive talking point we've had, because I think a lot of people will just be like, no, evil characters are great. This is why I've had this experience with this evil character, which was amazing.
I hope so.
As part of this. Yeah, I know this sounds like a plug, but I do genuinely really want to hear what people say. Please leave a comment. I want to know what people said. Let's move on to my talking point, shall we? If you've got nothing else to add.
No, let's.
So my one, I know we've spoken about it quite a bit before, just in general, but I'm curious to get a full in-depth dive on your thoughts on this, because there's quite a lot of stuff that I know both of us do for our campaigns, where we kind of, especially when we're setting a scene, we take the wordings of spells and effects very liberally.
Yeah.
We like to have things happen because magic.
Yes.
Quite a lot. Especially for example, let's say 2 examples that come to mind. One from my campaign, one from yours.
Go for it.
From my campaign, there was one bit where you guys were talking to a very important guy who is essentially like the what's the word I'm looking for? The ruler, I guess, of the city that you were in. You went into their castle and you were chatting to them. The guy didn't know magic, but he had 2 assistants with him who very much did know magic and were there to assist him in any way he needed.
Sure.
And he took you into this room to have a chat with you guys, and he said, "Oh, there's not enough chairs. Can you draw up some more?" Someone just went, click the fingers, and boom, there's a chair. Like they just got it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a create a chair spell, but it worked.
And none of us questioned it.
Yeah, no, of course not.
Yeah.
And there's loads from your campaign that I can think of, but one of them, for example, when we went to an ancient wizard's tower.
The funniest thing, it still gets referenced.
I mean, this was going to be a different one actually, but yeah, when we went to that tower, of course you mentioned that there was kind of inherent magic in the air because it was an ancient wizard's tower. Very powerful arcane sources were always used to be here and work here, and there was magic in the air. And there was a piece of canvas, like a tarp essentially, that was across the doorway to get into this tower, which wasn't blowing in the wind.
Yes, it was a windy, stormy day.
Yes,
very torrential rain. Yes. It was on the coast.
Exactly. Yes, and this piece of fabric wasn't blowing in the wind. We were like, well, why is it not blowing in the wind? And that was just because magic, because it was a magical area, and it was a nice little thing you did just to show that there is magic in the air.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't take it that way.
No.
But
no, you didn't.
That's what you did it for.
20 minutes spent on a cloth over a door. 2 spells burned to get through the door. I believe it was detect magic.
There was a detect magic for sure.
And enlarge/reduce.
Oh god, was that really one of them?
Yeah, because
Wow.
your sorcerer cast reduce to go underneath the cloth.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh man, yeah.
Because they were they're a gnome, so they cast reduce on themselves to become tiny.
Yep.
Because they're already small.
Yep.
So they could go underneath the cloth.
Yeah, that was a time. But anyway, just in general, your thoughts on using things just because magic. You don't have to have a specific spell in mind. You don't have to have it's got this particular effect on it. This is why it acts in this way. What's your thoughts on doing things because magic?
100% yes.
Obviously.
100% yes.
Yeah.
The way I'm looking at the arcane in D&D is you've got your spells in your player's handbook, your Xanathars, your Tashas to come out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Those are spells that are useful.
Yep.
As such, they're spells that are useful and worth studying. There's plenty of spells that aren't worth studying. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it. There's plenty of stuff that can have magical effects that just aren't studied. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I cast a spell on this cloth so it doesn't blow in the wind. So it just stays still. Sure.
The immovable cloth.
Yeah, yeah. I think like I think magic as a whole is such a big part of D&D that I personally refuse to believe that every single part of magic can be boiled down to every single spell.
Absolutely.
There's too much magic that is ingrained in that world for me to believe that the only magic that is possible in that world is the one that comes from these spells and items.
Yeah.
There must be someone who's made a spell that lets them, eat without touching their food.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
or there must be a spell somewhere that someone used to grow their hair because they were bald.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised that's not a cantrip.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that makes me think there must be something there that someone's done, and I use that to be like, and then stuff can just happen because magic. Like, there's a lot of chaotic forces within magic. You got wild magic as a whole thing. The whole sorcerer story is these people are just born with magic because their body's just attuned to the wild, chaotic nature of magic.
Yeah.
If that is already part of the lore, why not?
Yeah.
Why not just have things happen because of magic? Not only from in my mind, lore perspective, but also from a perspective of helping DMs make things happen.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
It can be really hard you can have a really good idea that really can't happen without something just happening because it just happens.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And there's tons of these examples that I could think of that I could list off that I know both of us have done.
Yeah.
Because we do it all the time, and it's stuff for, I think it's especially useful for setting a scene. Like you said, the canvas not blowing in the wind kind of paints the picture of this place is magical.
Yep.
And there's other times where you'll enter a wizard's tower or something, and you'll have, I know there'll be things floating in the air that cast weird lights around the place. You're like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, there's probably a spell for that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I don't need to know it. It's just magical because
Yeah,
it looks cool and it gives you an idea of what the place is about.
What's Jeff's job? He sits in the corner casting thaumaturgy constantly so the lights can move around. We all do that stuff. Jeff has to set the scene.
I really want to hire someone in your campaign now to follow me around and cast thaumaturgy for my entrance music that he just plays.
Exactly.
It's my theme song.
Exactly. There's stuff like that there is stuff that just happens because it happens.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, there's definitely a line to it, and it's worth noting that it should be used very sparsely. But I mean, players can sometimes do it as well. There's lines to be crossed, obviously, but there was one time that I remember on a story that we briefly mentioned before about one of the players wanting to change the character they were playing.
Yeah.
And we had to go and had the whole
fight
with all of that.
Yeah.
And when we were attempting to bury the body, one of our other players says, "I don't have the spell prepared. Can I please cast Druidcraft?" to make some flowers, and you were like, yes, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to just be like, no, you didn't prepare it today,
Exactly.
so you can't do it.
You'd have to be a really horrible person
Yeah.
to be like, no, you can't put flowers on the grave because you didn't prepare the spell that day.
Exactly.
You can do it tomorrow after your rest.
And while that's not exactly the same thing of stuff happening because magic, it's the same kind of thing of like you don't have to adhere necessarily to exactly what the wording of everything is so much. It's very kind of fluid.
Another one on that is someone casts Sacred Flame to sort of inscribe the name on the ground. There's nothing within the Sacred Flame cantrip that says like it leaves a visual mark, but someone said I want to use Sacred Flame to burn their name into the ground, and I was like, of course.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Of course.
Totally.
You've thought up something there. It's called Sacred Flame.
It's sacred.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say no.
You idiot! Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Have you read the wording of the spell?
First of all,
Moron.
it's radiant damage. Doesn't actually leave a burn.
Sorry, I need to make a deck save for the grass.
You miss.
That'd be so dumb.
I think another one that we do that I coined up. Like it was my idea, and like it's like pretty much covered both our campaigns.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Is the guidance cantrip.
Yeah,
the guidance cantrip. The cantrip for guidance. It's called guidance. It's meant to be a tap that helps people with their ability checks because they are guided by some form of magic.
Yeah.
We've coined it as such, as being like it's a reassuring touch, and it puts them, gives them with a bit of like magical force, whatever gives it to you. I think guidance you get it from clerics and druids.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't think anyone else gets it. Maybe another one, maybe paladin, but paladin would sort of fall under the same group as cleric. Some more powerful force gives you a brief boost to your ability.
Yeah.
I coined it so that I think there was once someone was like quite agitated, or someone was in like a bit of an anxious state or something. So I said I'm going to give them guidance. I'm going to give them guidance with my guidance cantrip just so they feel more at ease. Mm-hmm. So
they feel a bit reassured.
Yeah, they feel a bit reassured. They feel this sort of like power that gets put in them briefly that makes them feel like they're better at something and makes them feel reassured. And now with something that we've just took on as being like, it's not, we don't treat it as like, oh, and you cast guidance and suddenly they feel fine. It's not calm emotions. It's more just like a thing of, it's more like a friendly touch, or it's more like a thing of like, we're here to help kind of thing.
Exactly. It's just like a boosted version of someone just like kind of placing a friendly hand on someone's shoulder. Instead of just placing it and being like, it's okay, you can just cast guidance and be like, you feel that, instead of just saying, it'll be okay, you kind of feel that presence within you.
Yeah, you feel that small bit of energy that would usually give you a boost to ability check, now gives you a boost to morale, or whatever, however you want to say it.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that, especially for like a cantrip, that's totally reasonable. It's totally fine. We've seen even, lots of examples of this in even in things like Critical Role. Like Mercer quite frequently, someone will be like, "Can I do this with my ability?" He's like, "I'll allow it."
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
sure, why not? It sounds
exactly.
fun.
Yeah, can I
That's
use
creative.
this to do this? Yeah,
why not? So yeah, there's loads of things like there's like I was mentioning before, there is definitely a line to cross. Like if you're a DM and you're planning an encounter and suddenly you see some magic man and he teleports across the field and then he casts 3 spells at once, and your players go, "Can he really do that?" And you go, "Yeah, because magic." No, that's too far.
Yeah, I would say I use it for the purpose of setting scene or advancing story.
Absolutely. That was the next one I was going to come on to.
I use it for setting scene, advancing story. I don't use it as a detriment to the players, and there's like screw you, because I'm the DM and I can make my own rules. I can do what I want.
This is my Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, he casts Fireball 3 times.
Yes, exactly that. There's one thing that, an example I was going to bring up actually, which was in your campaign, you expected us to go to one place for a festival, and we decided to go a different direction.
The boring place.
The boring way, yeah. Because we thought that's what we morally should do. Which is what we thought.
Yeah.
We essentially, because in your campaign the gods are very kind of active. We speak to them. They exist. They come and speak to us. They're the Greek gods, so we understand who they are. And we'd spoken to them. They'd spoken to us and said, "We think you need to come for a meeting with us at Romulus at the capital, so you should come over that way. And we were like, well, we can't turn down the gods. We kind of have to go that way.
It was a head versus heart situation that I put you in.
Totally, yeah. And we decided to go with our head, and we went that way. And after we had this whole kind of big world-changing event happen, we had another group that supposedly we were supposed to be with because they'd gone to the other place. They teleported to us. Bearing in mind, none of them actually knew how to teleport.
Correct.
They teleported using an item.
Yeah.
And they came in and teleported next to us, so we were all together again for the advancement of the next part of the story.
Correct.
And I tried to go and get that magic item, and it crumbled in my hand, so it could never be used again.
Correct.
Because it was done once. So, and for me, at the time, I was like, he's just made that because they were supposed to be here.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be there. That's cool.
Absolutely.
So it's just... Even that, which is quite a strong magical effect, it's a teleportation.
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
it's a one-time use emergency teleportation magic item that once done you can't use again. And they did it to get it to us, and it made sense for the story. It's not a detriment to the party. It's not, and it's even if it's not a cantrip or some sort of like magical scene-setting effect, it can still be used effectively because magic.
Yeah.
But it can still advance the story.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. Advancing the story and using it to sort of work to plans that your players may not work to. Because certain times your players will do something that you don't plan for, or something that you don't expect them to do, that really derails everything you had in mind.
Yes.
If you guys didn't meet up with them, it would have been a complete rewrite for me for a lot of things.
Yeah.
I would have had to be like, all right, well, they haven't done this, and they haven't done this, and they haven't done this, so now I just have to completely change the plan.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, we're not saying to railroad your party's DMs out there, but if you have a story in mind or you have a certain thing that needs to happen, you can push them in that direction. That's not a bad thing. I wouldn't even call that railroading.
No.
And honestly, I'd much rather lean more towards the railroad than the complete open world sandbox on the spectrum of how to tell a story. That's probably a discussion point for another day.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather go closer to the railroady side of things than the open world side of things.
Agreed. To touch on that bit, again, my campaign, many examples today. You guys had, very recently, 2 options.
Yep.
You got to pick up these pearls. We know 2 locations. One's here, one's here. And you guys are like, all right, which one do you do? They were like, well, we suggest you do this one.
Yep.
And that was it. They were just like, we suggest you go to this one. And that's the one you've chosen. You could have gone to do the other one, but the suggestion from me, the DM, and the suggestion in-game was to go do the one that I wanted you to.
Because you planned it.
Because I planned it, and because it just made more sense.
Totally.
For what's happening at the time, it makes a lot more sense.
Totally. And it was closer geographically,
Yeah.
so logically it would be the one
Closer
we'd probably
geographically,
go to first.
made more sense storyline. Just a lot of things about it made more sense. But again, you could have gone to the other one.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing at the end of the day. With, I think, again, we'll have a proper discussion about this next week. Dibs, this is going to be my talking point next week about railroading versus open world sandbox.
Sure.
Is that you can push your characters in a certain direction, but if they really choose to go the other way, let them go the other way. Like, go let them do the other thing. Like, you can literally wholesale lift some of the stuff you had planned from one side and just kind of plonk it on the other side, and they won't know the difference.
It's a practice for improvisation.
Totally.
Do it all the time.
Yeah.
Do it all the damn time. Just improvise something on the fly, like boom, 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 boom. That's what you get, and it turns into something.
Oh, legit. God, that's another talking point I want to do.
That's mine.
I need to start making notes.
That's mine.
About talking points.
But let's get back onto the original point.
Yes.
Magic for magic. I agree with it. Set the scene. Makes for really cool moments and really funny stuff that can happen. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it lets you get your creative mind flowing a bit more. There's less restrictions on you, and you can get more creative with things if you think like along the lines of, well, I really want this to happen for this character, but there's no spell in mind for it. But I really want it to happen, so why can't it just happen? No one's going to question it.
Yes.
For example, again, last example from me, my campaign. Our character has amnesia.
Yeah.
Doesn't remember anything. Mm-hmm. There's no spell that's like, there is a spell for it. There's like mind block or modify memory or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
But there's plenty of stuff that can be happening there that's just like, oh yeah, that just sort of happened. Another one, the whatever her name is, the gnome woman. That's the one. I don't remember her name. I don't remember her name.
You got so
flustered. I couldn't think of her name. I was trying to think of it. I was like, it's B-R-D-D. I couldn't think of it. It's the gnome woman that you guys spoke to recently, who couldn't say something, but then you guys gave her a prompt, and she was able to draw something instead of saying it.
Yes.
That's a magical effect that's not in a game, or that's not in the book.
Yeah.
But it's a very big story plot device. Mm-hmm. And it's how I envisioned it. And none of you are going, oh man, I wonder what spell it could be.
Yeah.
You guys are just cracking on, just like, man, I wonder what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is completely real. It's like, I wonder what it is. You're not going through the book and going, oh, what spell could it be? You're just like, something's up here. Yeah. Something magical is happening.
I know pretty much this entire talking point has just been using examples of things.
Yeah.
Just one final one.
It's the easiest way.
Before we move on to it, there's from your campaign again.
It's the easiest way. Yeah, I do it a lot in case you guys didn't realise.
Yeah, you do. Was we went out on a bar crawl because we'd had a pretty emotionally taxing few sessions.
Yeah, it was.
And I think some of us had messaged been like, we're miserable playing this game right now. It is really emotional all the time.
Yeah, a few people told me that, like, you guys got hit with a lot of things quite, like, emotional at once.
Yeah.
And I was just, it was intentional. I intentionally made it because I wanted you guys to feel lowest of lows, because you guys started off the campaign feeling highest of highs.
Absolutely.
Like, you guys were on top of the world. You guys were pretty much celebrities right from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I wanted you guys to feel lowest of lows, but there had to be a pick-me-up session. There had to be something there to be like, all right, rally the troops.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone back in.
Yeah.
So we did have that bar crawl session. But go on, what happens?
We went out on this bar crawl. It was very fun. We got to roleplay being drunk, which was very cool.
Yeah.
And we were with this other group that we kind of interacted with a lot. It's actually the group that teleported in using that emergency teleportation thing.
Yep.
We were with them doing all this bar crawl stuff. It was really great. And during the course of this, one of our characters was getting a bit flirty with one of the characters in the other party that we were with.
Forgot about this one, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the other people in the party didn't like that kind of thing.
Correct.
And when it just kind of got to the end of the night, this character who was a sorcerer and who knew that we had some sort of deal with Hades, we don't really know the full extent of it yet, but they've got some sort of deal with Hades, they kind of extended their hand out to this character that was flirting with the other member of the party, and they felt this kind of cold energy come over them, and they took like 3 points of cold damage or something.
Yeah.
It's not a spell for that.
It's definitely not a spell.
It was just really cool, because it, again, was telling the story, because all of us, as soon as you said, you feel this cold energy take over you, all of us went, oh no!
Yeah, exactly.
The tone completely shifted from the very happy-go-lucky fun times in the bar that we were having, to completely just be like, this is just something that's not going to kill you. This is just a little thing to say he's not happy about it, and he's letting you know without saying anything.
Yeah.
It was just a really ingenious way of telling a little story and shifting the tone of what we were doing without having someone have to go up and be like, I cast Cone of Cold, because that's not as fun.
You think I'm a genius? Wow.
I said it was ingenious. I didn't say you were a genius.
Inflammable means flammable. That's one of my favourites. I'm going off on one note. Flammable means flammable. What a country. At that point, we've jumped the shark with the magic for magic's sake conversation.
Yeah, totally. Good God.
We'll do our characters thing. Something we didn't do at the top of the show. We're supposed to was read the comments from last.
Hey, I was going to do that now actually. Before we got onto the character stuff, let's read some comments from last week's episode, which I don't have prepared.
Yeah,
because I'm really organised.
We should do this. Should have done this at the top of the show. Next week we will. Promise.
Yeah,
next week will be top of the show.
At the top of the show. That's episode 1. Come on, me.
That is episode 1. I need to get my character up that I've got.
Okay, we've got 20 comments on this episode. That's great.
Decent.
Random Chocolate Ball said, I was looking for a new chat podcast. This sounds good.
Ah, thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank.
This is quite interesting. Misha Sumra has said, can we do the backstory game Play at Home? So they've listened to the characters that we've described, and they've come up with their own backstories for them.
Go for it.
So last week, Lockpick, that you had your Warforged...
My Warforged swashbuckler.
Swashbuckler, yeah. They've said, Lockpick, city dweller created by a mages guild, a Black Ops counterintelligence operative who could both handle the sneaky stuff and help defend the guild against sneaky stuff.
Okay.
That's fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Really cool. Toranok, who was my druid Circle of Shepherds, that we've since learned is nothing like what we said.
No, apparently it's to do with buffing conjuration spirits, and it's about summoning things. So we didn't know it, and I'm gonna throw it out there right now. I don't think it's very good. So no. I don't plan to get to know it very much either.
No. But they said for Toranok, they said, has lived in the same region his entire life, born in a farming town, trained by a local hermit, now defends the region from threats to it using a personal army of befriended animals and fae. Speaks giant because in history, giant raids, hill giants, not mountain ones because the area is more plains and farmland, have been the biggest local threat. Not seen any activity for years, but better safe than sorry.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, feel free. Feel free to also make your backstories along with these characters. I quite like that.
Absolutely. It was fantastic.
Quite enjoy that. Good job.
Really Rowdy Pierce just said, what do you think of Pathfinder? Me and mine left D&D for Pathfinder a while ago and wondered if you've played. Great content, keep it up.
I have heard a few things about Pathfinder. I haven't looked into it too much. I've heard sort of like a review on it in the nicest possible way. I've heard it's like D&D on crack. Like I've heard it's like a lot of stuff on there gets really powerful really quick, and it's like a thing of like if I feel like I've heard D&D is a tamed down version of Pathfinder.
Yes, yeah.
To pull from Crit Roll, a lot of items they have at the start of Crit Roll Campaign 1 came from their Pathfinder campaign. And there's a lot of the items, and like they start Crit Roll Campaign 1 at level 10. They still have those items at level 20. And they use them like every fight.
Yeah.
It's stuff like
Boots of Haste.
Boots of Haste, exactly. I believe that was a Pathfinder item. You click your boots, you get haste cast on you. Haste is one of the best spells in the game.
It's absurdly good.
To click your boots, to click your heels together
as a bonus action.
Yeah, to click your heels together and get haste cast on you as a bonus action, like 2-3 times a day.
It's mental.
That's a crazy item. And apparently Pathfinder, you just have that.
That's mental. I've not looked into Pathfinder too much. Obviously, I've heard of it. I just haven't looked into too much of the details. I've actually got an interesting one here from Mercedes.
Okay.
Who said, who commented on, obviously last week we were speaking about the character that wanted to change their player character and go into the swamp and that whole fight that we did.
Yeah.
And she has commented, who, by the way, Mercedes is the player of the person who actually killed that character. She's the lizard folk barbarian.
Mercedes is the barbarian in my campaign, the one who chopped off an arm recently.
Yes, that one. Who said, how to summarise the emotions from that talking point from the player character in this situation. Real life, got dumped. Let's go play D&D with my friends. D&D, I've had to kill my friend or be killed myself. But I leveled up. Such contrasting emotions in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
That was actually a case where I had to tell the player what was going to happen before it happened.
Yes.
Because as it was happening after Mercedes killed the character, she was quite real life visibly upset.
Yes.
And she was like, I don't really want to keep playing Grak now.
Yeah.
So I had to tell her, I had to text her without telling anyone else, like, this was planned.
Yeah,
like, this was planned. This was like, our other player wanted this to happen. You've done nothing wrong. It exactly went to plan. However, it is now a running joke amongst our friends that now Grak killed that player and they're a horrible person.
And also, something we didn't mention before was she had texted the player. You forgot about it too. She texted so this player who'd got rid of had planned with Liam to kill their first character to play a new one.
God.
Mercedes had texted this other player to be like, I'm so sorry. Like,
sorry I did this.
I didn't mean to like kill your character. I'm sorry I had to do this. And bearing in mind, he knew this was coming. He'd planned this with Liam the whole time. He texted her back, I will never forgive you.
Oh my god, it was brutal.
Absolutely brilliant.
We only heard about it after everything happened.
I know, yeah.
But when we heard it, it broke. Absolutely broke us.
Oh man, so funny.
I'll never forgive you.
And we'll have one last comment here from Apocryphal Shedinja.
Okay.
Who says, wait, Unlawful Exile? Did you make Pokemon videos back in the day?
I did. I made a lot of them. Made a lot of them for a lot of years.
You did. That's true. We both used to make Pokemon videos back in the day.
Indeed.
You more so than I. But,
Yeah, I've got like over 1,000.
yeah.
If anyone likes Pokemon, go watch them. I still get money for it.
Yeah, same. No, I don't think I'm monetized anymore. But whatever.
Not bothered about them, but hey.
Heck,
Dollar.
if you want. But now, yes, thank you very much for your comments. Please leave more. We'll read them next week. And thank you for everyone listening on podcast form as well. If you didn't know, you can get it as a podcast too if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can listen to it on YouTube too. But now we're going to get to the final segment. I still don't think we have a name for this segment, do we?
We did. We thought of one last week.
Did we?
I don't remember what it was.
Oh god, we're so good at this.
Yeah.
We're so professional.
Or did we ask people to comment what it should be called?
Yeah, so the comment I read out earlier from Misha Sumra said, the backstory game was all capitalised. So... the backstory game is the suggestion we've got, I believe.
The backstory game, sure.
I feel like I read one more in another comment, but I might be wrong. Let's see. No. Oh, man. No, I can't find it. Oh, no, here we go. There was one from Jesse Woodring who said, the best pun I can come up with for a name so far is common background.
Common background.
Yes. Apparently.
Quite like that one.
Yeah.
Come on, background. I quite like that.
So that's what we've got so far.
I quite like
It's
it.
those.
If there's any other suggestions, that's what you're commenting this week.
Leave them. Leave comments for that because we can't do our own jobs properly. Right, so now we're getting into the final segment, whatever it's called, where we've made a character on D&D Beyond. Please sponsor us, thank you very much. And we are going to describe this character to the other person, their name, their race, their class, any feats, any backgrounds, any important stats, etc.
What level is yours?
4.
Okay.
And then we will have 1 minute immediately after we've heard these details to come up with a backstory and say how we would roleplay this character. And that's essentially the whole segment.
Okay.
So, let's roll for it to see who goes first.
Sure.
This time.
Pretty sure I won all these as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I've lost
It's almost as if I roll really
Yeah, I
badly.
don't think I've lost the dice rolling thing yet, but let's do it.
7.
Oh, I could lose this. 9, no. Off you.
Never win.
How did we do this before?
I'm pretty sure you described...
I gave you first, yes. Whoever wins the dice roll gives first. So
Okay.
you get yourself ready, Poppy.
I'm gonna... alright, let me get my timer up, and then I'm gonna just... because I don't have a bloody note thing on this phone, I'm going to just message you on WhatsApp.
Sure, yeah, just
That'll
text
be
it to me,
fine.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so,
Yeah, it
what we
takes like
got?
2 hours time.
What we got?
Okay, we have a half-elf.
Half-elf.
His name is Gildroth.
Gildroth.
Gildroth. Gildrof.
O-F, yep, okay.
That's the name is for the people in the comments as well if they want to play along. So you can feel like this, my backstory for Gildroth.
Yep.
Warlock.
Warlock, okay.
Hexblade.
Hexblade.
And his pact boon is Path of the Chain.
Okay.
Which is the one that...
where you get the book, right?
Which is the one that... No, Pact of the Chain is the one where you get things like better familiars and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, that's the one. Gotcha. Yep. Okay.
Not much else in it other than that, apart from the... no, nothing else Warlock-wise anyway. If my D&D Beyond would go. Cool. Pretty good charisma. Low strength.
Yep.
Decent intelligence.
Yep.
Average stroke below average wisdom.
Okay.
No feats.
Okay.
And their background is noble.
God, okay. Right. Pact of the Chain, isn't it? I wrote Path of the Chain.
Pact of the Chain, their background is noble.
Okay. Let me start my timer real quick.
Just got a text. I was like, who's texting me?
That's me. Okay, so Gildroth is someone who's been concerned about the lifespan of different creatures.
Okay.
And as a half-elf,
Yep.
they have generally longer lifespans. God, am I getting confused with elves? I don't know.
They have longer lifespans.
They have longer lifespans.
Go for it.
But he feels this is kind of unfair to a lot of other races that can only live to maybe 60, 70 years compared to half-elves, whatever it is. And elves can live for hundreds.
Yep.
So he goes out to try and find people that could aid in assisting and making it more balanced. And they actually come across a coven of hags. And as he tries to speak to these hags about, can we extend lives? Can we shorten lives? How does lives work? They actually just vanish, but they leave behind a sword.
Okay.
And as he picks up the sword, he gains his warlock powers and gets stuff from that.
1 minute, 1 second.
Yeah, and he gets stuff from that. I stalled for time a lot because I didn't have an idea for a long time.
All right. Gildroth.
And also, he was a noble.
Yeah, also he was a noble.
I don't know. Yeah, sure. What did you have for this?
Gildroth.
Yeah.
A character I've had for a while.
Yeah.
Again, haven't made...
I recognise the name.
Yeah, I'm going through my backstory. I'm going through my backlog of characters. I'm finally using all those characters I make on D&D Beyond for something. Gildroth is a noble, comes from a noble family.
Of course.
He's quite old.
Yep.
He lives in a mansion. His father, grandfather, some part of his lineage was like an archaeologist.
I feel like I know this backstory.
Yes,
Maybe you've told it to me before.
I have told it to you before.
Okay, yeah.
That's why I gave you this one. I was I wonder if he's going to pick up on it.
Yeah.
His grandfather was like an archaeologist. They gathered a bunch of artifacts and stuff. Gildroth didn't pick a wife, lives his life alone in the mansion, and his grandfather have passed away, so he lives alone in this mansion. One night, his mansion gets robbed. In an attempt to defend himself, he grabs a weapon from one of the display cases that are adorned in his house, and it is a weapon that gives him his warlock power.
Yep.
After using this weapon to defeat the invaders, feels quite empowered by it. Goes out, starts experimenting with his new powers, and a imp, which is his enhanced familiar, starts giving him tasks to do. And when he questions this imp, asking like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" just says, "I'm a messenger from the beyond."
That's fun. That's really fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
I even gave the imp a name. I can't remember what it was. I think I called the imp Mr. Croftsworth.
Wait, isn't that a character in your campaign?
It was.
That's amazing.
It may not be Mr. Croftsworth then, because that's just my go-to. That's my go-to one.
Croftsworth is a dude who's got the Fight Club in Romulus in your campaign.
What did I call him? I definitely called him something. I think I took it off.
Oh, boo.
It wasn't Croftsworth, but I definitely called him something.
You know, I really liked that.
Reginald. That was his name.
Reginald.
I called him he was Reginald the Imp.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy that. I think both of us kind of more lean towards, especially with Warlocks, which is genuinely probably my favourite class. Bloody love Warlocks. I think we both kind of go towards people unintentionally making pacts.
Sure.
Instead of deliberately.
Yeah.
So while like my backstory I had for your one was someone who was a bit naive and kind of went out and be like, maybe I can speak to some hags, which is kind of not a smart thing to do, obviously. Yep. But being able to just be like, well, I guess I'll take the sword that they gave me. You know, he's a bit of a dumbass, but like he's not like, I'm evil. Again, talking about evil characters. I wouldn't want to have someone who was intentionally like, I want to make a deal with a fiend because I am an a-hole. I think, so I think both of us generally try to, whenever we hear Warlock backstories, we generally go towards more like, they unintentionally picked up this thing that gave them their warlock powers, and now they've got to deal with it.
Yeah. Warlocks can tend to get like, you know, when you do hear like making a pact with the devil. Yeah, you're kind of
evil.
Kind of evil.
Yeah.
Kind of rough. You kind of have to figure out a reason why that happened.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Do you want my one?
I do.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm pumped.
Are you?
Maybe.
Okay. So, your name.
My name
is Selenik Durantar.
Oh, sexy.
Yeah.
Selenik
Durantar.
Durantar.
Yeah.
Cool.
You are a
probably spelled that wrong.
Gold Dragonborn.
Okay.
You're a monk.
Okay.
Way of Shadow.
Okay.
And you have a feat, which is Mage Slayer.
Ah, okay.
Which is fun.
I like this. I put Mate Slayer.
That's crack.
Very funny. Very good.
What else have we got? Oh yeah, your background is soldier. There we go. Yep. and you have really good dexterity,
Dex.
slightly below average intelligence,
Stupid.
and everything else is bang average.
Average.
Yeah.
What else? Cool. Do I have any items or anything? Is that it?
That's all you got.
Cool.
Where's my timer?
I'm not thinking.
There you
go.
One go.
Cool. Siri. Talking the Selenic Dragonborn. His background was a soldier, so he used to be part of the army, and this is when armies were fought sword and shield, and it was warring nations. His cavalry, or his brigade, as he was quite high up in it, was taken down when one of the armies brought in a bunch of magic users, and they were overwhelmed by the things like erupting earth and whatnot and everything else. As he went back, being the only surviving member of his troop, he was dishonorably discharged. He went to a monk retreat to sort of find himself and to quell his emotions after he was unsure if he'd done the right thing or not. There he was taught ways of how to protect himself and use the shadow magic so that he could fight them on even terms, and since then he's had a grudge against those who have been able to cast magic and use it so frivolously without having care for humanoid life.
Nice. Yeah, with 3 seconds to spare. That's really good.
Do you know what that storyline's kind of like? Batman. As I was saying it, I'm like, there's a lot like Batman Begins.
I've literally never thought that Way of Shadow monks are exactly like Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
was just like, it's basically like Batman Begins. It's like
Holy
he goes
crap.
to a monastery where they cast some sort of shadow magic,
Yeah.
and he starts fighting with his fists because he has an agenda against some people. I made like a weird Batman. The only part of it I ignored was the gold dragonborn part.
Yeah, but
Everything else, I feel
fine.
like everything else, I feel like I made. Kind of want to play that character now.
yeah, that's really
I
fun.
quite like that character.
That's really, really fun.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. I genuinely, Mage Slayer isn't necessarily the best feat. I think it's so good for storytelling purposes.
Oh, yeah.
For role playing, it's amazing to be like, why do you have a grudge against magic?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really, really interesting. The Way of Shadow. What I had in mind, because this is a character I just made beforehand.
Sure.
That I actually rolled stats for, by the way.
Okay.
Which had 11 and 12 in everything,
Yeah.
except Dex, which was 16, and Intelligence was 9.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like Cormo, actually, my character in your campaign. He's got
yeah.
one good stat,
True,
18 Dex, and then everything else is bang average.
True.
But yeah, what I had in mind for the Way of Shadow and the Mage Slayer was actually a lot more sinister, in that they were kicked out of the army, because with the soldier background,
Yep.
they were actually kicked out for being an a-hole.
Okay.
And they had essentially found this kind of more shady side to using like key energy and stuff like that, which is the Way of Shadow stuff, and being able to actually be like, not necessarily a hitman, but kind of like a bit more of a someone that could take out targets if need be.
Okay.
Specifically magical targets.
Yeah.
They could take out, for example, because I'm thinking more in terms of like my current campaign, like magic is reserved for people who can learn it. That's the way it goes in my campaign. It's quite exclusive to people who can afford it.
Yes, learned
essentially.
magic, yes.
Learned magic, and if you get it from anywhere else, it doesn't bloody count.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thinking along those lines, it would be really cool if they were like, well, we need you to take out these really important people. They're probably going to have magic because they're rich. So they've learned how to combat the magic types that they could encounter. That's the vague thing that I had when I was just making that character earlier. But I really like yours though. It's really, really fun. Of course, if you've got your suggestions, please do leave them in the comments. We want to hear your backstories because that was really fun from the comments this week. And we promise next week we'll actually read them out at the start of the show instead of at the end, because we'll be more organised next week.
Agreed.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
This week.
This might be our longest episode so far.
It is. God, yeah, it is. Whew, man, we've overrun a little bit.
Over an hour.
Yeah, I know. God, we talk a lot.
Shout out to those of you who made it to the end.
Yeah, I know. You're great. If you're listening to this on YouTube and you made it to this point, leave a comment just saying cow.
Cow, yeah.
Yeah.
Include cow in your comment.
Yeah, exactly. Somewhere in it would be great. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Pete Quinnell.
I'm still at Unlawful Exile.
You haven't changed it yet.
I didn't change it for the sake of you. I didn't change it.
Oh, thanks. It will take me about 3 seconds to update. Just let me know because
I mean, you have to backdate the old videos.
I won't do that. Come on now. I'm not going to do that. I don't care that much about you, Jesus. I don't care that much about your Twitter followers. So you can follow us on social media there. And of course, if you're listening on YouTube, subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast, subscribe to your podcast feed so then you can get updated for new episodes. Stick around for more episodes. We'll be coming back next week, hopefully, for episode number 4. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.